up, get out right out of your bed, that's your quicksand. Getting rid anxiety and head, you can fix it. Rid of stigmas, all of them you said, we ain't listening. Just remember, try to do your best, you can win this. Maurice Benard, State of Mind.
All right, this is State of Mind. If you like what you see, hit right here, this red button that says subscribe. Right, there you go. We're trying to, without you guys, this show, would be nothing, and it's been amazing so far. And I'm going to end the show now. No, I'm not. Just kidding. I'm very lucky today to have someone. She's not only a great actress, writer, director, and everything, but I just saw a movie called Fresh Kills. And we're going to talk about, I would like to jump right in, because that's how amazing this movie was. And she directed it. And let's just get right into it. Jennifer Esposito, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Damn, you look great.
Thank you. You too.
Before we get into this film that I'm dying to get into, tell me about yourself, like where you've been, how, where you grew up, and all that kind of stuff.
Grew up in Brooklyn, and then moved to Staten Island when I was probably 9, 7, probably like 8. And grew up around some tough families.
Yeah.
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 That's where it started, the process. I'm a very big why person. I need to understand. So when I was seeing a lot of violence growing up in some of these mafia families with the young women, because they were my age, and I grew up in a lot of fear, and in my house, outside my house, and I just kept saying, why? Like, why are the people around me so angry? Why? And then I adopted that as my own, because that's what I was around. Didn't know what I was looking at. I was a kid, and everything was that way. And then when I got old enough to leave, because I wanted to leave from the time I arrived.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was just this kid that was like, oh, no, this isn't for me. I have to go there. It was very strange.
But now they made you feel like you shouldn't be like that, right? Like everything's fine and you should...
Well, it was more of the fact that this was normal. And like I remember when I was in my 8th grade yearbook, I put that I wanted to be an actor. And I got ridiculed like you wouldn't believe, because I would get like, oh, you think who you are. You think you're better than us. And it was very hard to want to do something, but have to keep it so hidden.
Yeah.
And so I adopted this thing of like, oh, I can't be better than anybody. I don't want to make people mad and be better than anyone, because that's not what I was saying. I just had a dream. So in the community I came from, it was very much like, if you want better, then there's something wrong with you. So I really had to disengage and leave my home, my family, everything at around 18.
Damn.
I left and moved into the city and put myself through acting school. Wanted to be a filmmaker, couldn't go to NYU, couldn't afford it. But I always struggled with this idea of the whys. Why were these young women so angry? Why was I angry? Why was this community angry? And it stayed with me, and I chalked it up to, well, I guess they're stuck in this world that they didn't choose. And these young girls, especially the violence from the young women, they were stuck and born into a slot. And I just thought, okay, that must be it. And as I got older and I realized there was a ceiling for me as a woman, and then there was another ceiling for me as I was told I was an ethnic woman, and I was a bold woman, and I was too much, or I was too this, or I was too that, or there was another ceiling. And I thought, that rage that I understood and saw started to feel like my own. And then in the business, being told who you are, and put in a
Yeah,
box,
yeah.
and this is what you can do. And I just started to realize that those young women and the people in my environment, in my neighborhood, it really had nothing to do with mafia. It had to do with choice and
Right.
generational trauma and these cycles that we repeat. And that's really what the movie Fresh Kills is about. It really has nothing to do with mafia.
Right. You know, it's like when I started acting, the same thing. I felt like I was the only, my mother and I'm going to get emotional. My mother and I were the only ones that believed that I was going to be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 21, but my brother didn't believe. He even admitted it later. He didn't believe I would do it. And everybody in my hometown. And that kills you inside.
Yes, it does.
I ended up, and I know it's this. It's the pressure from that and then being manic. I ended up in a mental institution at 21 years old because I couldn't take it anymore.
I understand.
The pressure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were you in a...
I went to a facility for one of the longest days of my life. For me, it was, I had really bad celiac disease that nobody knew about. So
Yeah.
for my whole young life, I suffered with, had my first anxiety attack at 13, and my mother gave me a tranquilizer because that's what she knew.
What's a tranquilizer?
Like a Valium.
Yes, okay.
Just to calm me down
Yeah,
at
get you.
13.
Yeah.
And it was like, shouldn't we be finding out what exactly is going on?
Right.
No, but I then it turned into panic disorder, and I had a agoraphobic at one point. I was in bad shape, but I plowed through it because this is what I saw going on in my home. This is what I saw going around in my family, and it's just things that you deal with. So I went through my career until I was sick all the time. I had hair falling out, like the most random symptoms. Then I would get
Really?
a little better, and then I would, yes. And it was not until my teeth started to fall out and it was on a set. And, you know, I would get told, like, why is she always in her trailer at lunch? It was because I needed to sleep. Like, I was constantly battling panic disorder. So, and I'd go to every doctor and they'd put me on Klonopin and all the tranquilizers, and they'd put me on Prozac and all the stuff, and I'd go through bouts of depression.
Yeah.
All of it. And then I wound up going to this one doctor when the tooth fell out. I was like, listen, I've been trying and asking for help for 20 years. I've been told I'm a female, I'm emotional, I'm an actor, I'm hypochondriac. I've been told all these things. Now a tooth is falling out of my mouth. So you can't tell me there's not something physically wrong with me. And I was at the end of my rope. Because it's very hard to hear. There's like you're not making sense to anybody,
Right,
and this
right.
doesn't matter. So finally, I got a diagnosis, and the doctor called me up. And she said, you have the worst case of celiac disease I think I've ever seen. And I don't know how you're like even alive.
And that brings on panic attacks?
So what happened, very long, I'll
We
condense
got a lot
it.
of time. Go ahead.
Basically, my gut was so screwed up. And your gut is your second brain, as you probably know.
Yeah.
And all your serotonin is there. So I was so bad, I had no serotonin left. Like I was at the bottom of the barrel. And what was happening, your body tries to stay alive. So it takes from your bones, it takes from your nervous system. So my nervous system, I can't even begin how shot I was. So when I found out what I had, and I started to do research, I was actually thrilled because it was like, I knew there was something wrong. I know I wasn't crazy. This wasn't just making something up. There was something wrong. So when I started to research, I was very sick for a good year because the way it had put my body in such, I was malnourished in everything. Even going outside, the stimulus from the sun was so much
And how
vitamin
old were
D.
you?
I was 35.
So you'd been acting and everything.
Yes, my entire career, I was masking this deep panic disorder, like deep panic disorder, which no one knew. But again, I'm dealing with it because I grew up with a mother saying, no, this is normal. We'd get off planes. She'd run out of supermarkets, like the anxiety, and from my father as well. So I was like, I guess this is normal. And it wasn't normal. So long story short, I went through a year of being my own guinea pig because I still couldn't find people to talk about celiac disease properly. And because it was like they didn't have a medicine to give me or sell me. It was all food-based. So I learned as much as I could and hooked up with a wonderful doctor and started to heal my gut. And with healing my gut, the five, they used to have me on 5 Klonopin a day just to keep me.
Wait.
I'm not exaggerating. At the height of my panic was so out of control. They had like they wanted to keep me like this. So take half and then take half. No exaggeration. I was still like this. I was so bad.
But when you got off, you were like this too, weren't you?
Yes, because my system was horrible. But I'm bad at medication, so I always white knuckle through everything.
Yeah.
But that's how agoraphobic starts. So I became no one knows, I was agoraphobic for a year.
What's agoraphobic?
You don't want to be in public. You can't go out.
All right.
You can't go in elevators. You can't go around people. You can't go in crowds. I had to move back with my family. Like I couldn't go through the tunnel. I couldn't get in the car. Like I was bad. So what happened, once I started understanding what was going on, and thankfully being my own advocate, which this book, Jennifer's Way, that I wrote is all about this, being your own advocate. And I went to this specialist, this doctor who's renowned in this field, celiac disease. And I went to him, and he said, "You're so bad, I want to study you." Okay. And like I said, I was wearing caps because the sunlight, the stimulus was too much, that I was trembling. So I said, fine. You're going to come to me once a week, and we're going to blood, all this stuff. Fine. And I go to him at one point, and I said, and he was in a hospital, and I was raging that day. I could feel like my inside, like everything was panic. I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand, I was jumping out of my skin. But now I'm wise enough now and educated myself to know that it's my body, not my mind. My body was reacting because all my vitamins were off. I was lacking everything. So I said to him, "Doctor, I need you to put me in the hospital. I need you to put me here because I feel like I'm going to jump out the window because I'm vibrating." And he looked at me and said, "Okay, go downstairs, go to the emergency, but don't go to the right, go to the left." And I said, "Okay." And I did that. And I wound up in the mental. He had put me thinking that I was going to kill myself because I said, "I'm going to jump out the window."
I get you, yeah.
And I had to plead for my sanity again, knowing that this is not my mind. This is my body. I'm telling you, this is my body. And I remember, I'd never forget that day. The doors closed behind me. I was like, I'm in the wrong place. I'm in the wrong place. And with panic disorder, to be locked.
Ooh.
I remember seeing a young man, and he was looking at me like they had given him all the medication like they wanted to give me.
Right,
and he was just...
Yeah.
But I could see him like... And I honestly, I still remember him, and I thought, if I ever get out of this, I'm going to tell the world about what I know, because this is not okay. It's not just about medication, because I had read it, and I had been educating myself. So anyway, I look around, I remember they're trying to, like, just calm down. Why just stay here? And I said, because I can't be here. I'm having panic disorder. I don't want to kill myself. I just want help. And they were like, eat some food. Everything was gluten. Everything was gluten because celiac disease reacts to gluten. And everything was a landmine. And thankfully, I wind up getting out that day. But what I learned, and the message to me that day is, to be your own advocate. But I went on this journey to heal my gut in such a way. And I will tell you, on my life, my panic attacks went from rolling one into another every day to a year cleaning my gut to no medication. I don't go up and down. I do not get panic disorder. I go in elevators. I travel. I am like this. All because my gut was healed. So I don't discredit people that need medication at all. But I will say, if you are not dealing with a doctor who's going to talk about gut health, you're doing a disservice to yourself, a deep disservice to yourself, because I was really unwell. And I don't have any of those symptoms or problems anymore at all.
Okay, we're done.
Bye.
Yeah, I know. I know about the gut, and I haven't done that. And I've I'm now. I think I'm going to do it.
I hope you do.
And there's no reason why I shouldn't do it, and there's no reason why anybody watching shouldn't do it, because it could work, it could not work, but at least try, right?
Absolutely. And I will say, like I said, I wrote this book, Jennifer's Way, and then I opened a bakery, all gluten-free, vegan, made in a healthy way. And again, I started to work with a doctor. I knew I had the backing behind me, so it was my mission to make people understand, because the years I suffered with this, but people would say, oh, it's not working. How long have you been doing it? A week, a month, 2 months. It doesn't happen like that. It takes a while for your body to adjust, to heal. But I'm serious on my dogs that are my life, my husband, on everything that I call holy. I am a different human being.
Damn.
Completely.
And the fact that you could, I've done the same thing. Going to work. Just recently, I took off, and I've never taken off anything in 31 years on General Hospital. But I took off 2 weeks of work because of I was going through some anxiety that was pretty traumatic. But you can still do it, right?
We do.
Right?
We do it. And that's the beauty of an artist. It's the beauty of an artist.
I know,
because
man.
we use it and yes, but it is also hell. It's hard to live in that space. I know you understand. I understand. It's a horrible place to live.
Jennifer, that freaking anxiety, when that shit's in your head.
It's the worst. It's the worst.
But most people don't know.
They don't know.
And you're like.
They don't know.
Even with me, it's like 2 weeks of work?
Yeah.
I mean, no one says it to me, but I know how it is.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
It is a nightmare. I understand.
And your nerves get shot. My whole balance was off.
I understand. I lost a year of my life because I was in the house. I didn't leave my mom's house.
For a year. And nobody in your family has nothing?
No, they all have crippling anxiety.
Right.
So it's like, she's got anxiety. It's like, no, but mine was extreme. My panic disorder was extreme. Yeah.
And then what happens is people who have a little bit of anxiety think they get over it somewhat easy, and it's not that big a deal. Yeah. But and I know, and I love talking to people who are bipolar or anxiety or depression, because we can relate. It's like our own language.
Totally. I always say to people, they say, "Oh, I think I have anxiety." Like, this is not something you think. Oh, it's kinda. I have a little bit of anxiety, and God bless if you don't. But like, there's anxiety, and then there's panic disorder. Panic disorder.
Well, what's let me talk to me about that.
Yeah, panic disorder. Anxiety, listen, anxiety comes, I'm anxious to get on a plane, or I'm anxious to meet a new person or go on an audition. Anxiety or bills.
Right.
Anxiety.
Okay.
Panic disorder can come out of nowhere, and you literally feel like you're dying. There's no other way. Derealization, dissociation, like all of it. Like I remember what sent me to my mom's house. Never forget. To this day, this is the one thing I haven't conquered, and I'm okay with it. Subways. I was in a shaky spot.
You get claustrophobic too? Oh, that's the worst.
I was in a shaky spot, health-wise, obviously, because of the celiac disease, but I was running, burning the candle on both ends. I was 26, I don't know. And I got on a subway, and I got stopped in the subway. The train stopped, and it was 100 degrees out. There was no air condition, and it was between stations. I can't. I was like, I'll claw my way out, like, because I got to get out of here. You had to get out. And when it opened, I remember pulling the doors, running up, and seeing, and this is hard to even talk about. I remember being outside and going, I got to get out. And the person was like, you're out. And I said, nope, I'm not out. I need to get out. And that's what was like, okay. I'm going to go home. I lost my apartment. I had a dog. I had to give away my dog, move back in with my parents. And it was like, that was it.
My first, I had two, but I've had thousands of other stuff. But I had to after 9/11, I got off a plane and I told them to open the doors. And they opened the doors. And cops came and the whole thing. But the last one from the plane, I got on with my family, and they were small, and we're ready to go on vacation. Everything's great, and the guy in front of me sits down, and it was like this, the chair. Mm-hmm. And I looked at my wife, said, "Let's go."
I understand.
And she goes, "No, hon." I said, "Let's go." And I get outside, I go, "I can't do it."
I understand.
And to see your kids come out,
I understand.
They can't go on. It's a tough thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I'm going to make sure you start eating the right way. Because you don't, listen, like I said, medication is necessary at times and maybe forever. But if you're not helping yourself with the food and the gut health.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I don't have any of it anymore.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And you could also, like I take lithium for my bipolar, right? It's been fantastic. No breakdowns in 31 years. And then I take something now but you can still take it and then do the eating properly.
Exactly.
I mean,
get on the eating, the healing of the gut. The brain and gut connection is so under discussed.
Yeah.
It's enormous. I think it's one of the biggest things you can do for your health, your mental health, and also your health. I had a tooth fall out of my mouth. That's how sick I was. This tooth out of my mouth in the middle of a scene.
No.
I swear to God. I had to do the rest, this business. I was like talking like this because I had to finish the scene, and then they sent me to a dentist. Recurring sinus infections constantly.
How did you do that?
Hair falling out in clumps. I was so unwell.
All right. Wow, this has been...
I'm sorry, exhausting?
No, it's great. I love it. It's what the show's about.
I know.
But usually, you know, I get into other stuff, but I love jumping right into stuff because then it makes the rest of the stuff kind of different and fun as opposed to just, you know.
But also, I think, you know, and this is why you've done this for so long. If we can't share what we've learned to try and help,
Yeah.
then what is it? What is the purpose? There is none.
No, there is none. I'm with you. What about relationships? How are you?
I'm married now. It's great. Been together for 8 years. Yeah.
8 years?
Yeah.
And it's going great?
Yeah. Yeah. It's calm. He's a nice, lovely, calm individual. I float on like, let's go. What are we doing? You know, want to create. What, you know, he's.
And Bradley Cooper. Not that I have to bring him up.
Yeah.
And the only thing I'll say about Bradley Cooper is I didn't know. I thought he was pretty good in the beginning, but he's become, I think, one of the best actors out there.
That's great.
Right? There you go. But 8 years of.
Yeah.
And what does he do?
He was a professional windsurfer, champion of the world.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So completely different business, which is lovely.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah, my wife's not an actress. She's just my wife.
That's awesome.
Let's talk about your movie.
Yeah. Fresh Kills.
Let me just say, I watched it last night. And I was watching, I thought it was, you know, it was good. That spice of life, I thought it was very accurate and into it. But I don't know what happens in the, I don't know, maybe an hour into it. It was like some of the best acting I've ever, and I said to somebody who was there, I said, it could only be that good because Jennifer made them feel safe.
Oh my God. Amen.
And because first of all, you wrote it. And so there you go with that. Anytime you get great writing, you'll do better acting. But I could tell in the scenes that you had a hand in elevating it to this young girl. I don't know who she is, but I kept being like blown away and then getting blown away and then getting blown away.
Emily Bader, the woman who plays Rose.
Yeah.
She's
But everybody was really good.
Zion as well, Connie, amazing.
But this girl,
yeah.
And I don't know because I don't know if she's overlooked, if she's getting a lot of praise, because that's a shame.
The whole movie's been overlooked.
God.
The whole movie.
Well, you got 94% on
because the people that do find it, they have been my cheerleaders. They are pissed. They're pissed. They want to know why they didn't know about it. They want to know why it took so long to know about it. They want to know why they didn't get a chance to see it in the theater. And it's been a road, I'll say that. It's been a road. It's been heartbreaking and rewarding and brutal and eye-opening. Been in this business for almost 30 years, and I have to say this was pretty outrageous in terms of what I learned.
Yeah.
Wonderful, but also what I learned in terms of how deep it goes as to who and how they pick a narrative and like, this is what you're going to watch. And all these beautiful independent movies, if you're not either in the club or have the right, producers or get picked up by this big, then you're just, it's kind of like, it was heartbreaking, to be honest.
But in the, I don't know when, like 30, 20 years ago, 30, independents were great.
I started
Sex,
in
Lies, and
independence.
Videotape?
Yep.
That
They
was
were
the beginning,
amazing.
right?
Yes, I loved my independence. That's how I started. I started in independence when we were all making things like, who's going to hold the boom, who's getting changed in the back. Like, this is when independent movies were independent
Right.
movies. And now, Neon, A24, fantastic. But you really can't call them independent movies
No.
the way we had independent
No,
movies. It's
no.
just not the same thing. And there's no way my film could compete when we don't have money for a marketing budget and they have millions for marketing. There's just no way to compete. So I have been grassroots, like lifting this on my back, not only to make it, but I also mortgaged my house to fund it. And then now it's on my back to
That's right, you
get it
mortgaged-
out.
You mortgage it. But, okay. That really gets me upset because when I really think something's great and then it's not getting the attention, I just. But you have to feel like you made something great.
The best thing, one of the best things I've ever done in my life, 100%. I'm so deeply proud of that movie in every way. And for the stamina and the belief and how many times we were supposed to die and how many times I felt like I needed to quit. And even just recently, I looked at my husband and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's not normal. It's not normal that I'm signing up to be
get you.
abused.
I get
So
you.
I think I'm going to breed dogs. And he was like, good luck. Good luck, because you create, we go out to try and eat, and I'm sitting there, I was like, oh, that would be amazing if that was in that shot, and if I did this. He's like, your brain does not stop. It does not function
you.
in that way.
Yeah.
I constantly need to create, constantly. And so he's right. But you do look at yourself at a certain point and you say, this is like an abusive relationship. Like,
Yeah.
why am I staying here? Like, I'm flat out being told, no one cares about you. No one cares. You're not in the club. You're not in the club. You can make this movie. You're still not invited. And it's like, I am not the person like, hey, what about me? That's just not me.
Yeah.
This is not about ego. This is about justice. It's a beautiful film. The performances in this film are stunning. But beyond that, it's a really powerful message.
Yeah.
It's about breaking the generational trauma and finding a voice in a world that tells you not to have one. And the amount of people that write me daily when they do find it, with not only praise, but like tears and like, this moved me. This makes me remember the dreams I had, or this reminds me of myself. Men. Donnie Wahlberg, when he saw it, I used to work with him,
Yeah.
and we were very friendly, and when he saw it, he said to me very vulnerably, he said, I was Rose. I was not a fighter,
Yeah.
but I had to be.
Yeah.
So it's hitting a lot of people, and it makes me very sad, because if there's my movie, there's 20 others that people aren't getting to see. And that's just
But
not
I don't
fair.
think, honestly, those 20 others are as good as yours.
I appreciate it.
I think they're really good, but yours, I don't know how to explain it. You got to see it, because I've been talking about it since I've seen it.
Thank you.
To everybody.
Thank you.
And I know Donnie too. And I'm friends with Victoria Gotti, because I played John Gotti.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. What we went through in that movie.
I'm
but,
sure.
I'd love to see what she says. You know?
I would love to as well. It's funny, because some of the women, the young women that I grew up with, it's clear to see we were not friends. I was very scared of them.
Yeah.
But one of them wound up coming to the premiere in Tribeca, because we premiered in Tribeca last year. And I honestly felt like a kid again, like, why is she here? Like, I was scared.
Yeah.
but she had done work. She's a producer of some things, and she came up to me and she said, "You nailed it," and that really meant a lot to me because she lived it.
Yeah.
And that really meant a lot to me. And then her and her sister watched it, and they just had tears in their eyes like that.
So when you
really
went
hit
to
it.
the premiere at that time, because you know how premieres are, people, you know, buy boats at the premiere and then they lose them later. That's yachts, actually. You probably felt the energy in there.
Standing ovation.
Son of a... That's the highs and lows, man.
I have to say, you talk about highs and lows. Standing ovation in almost we've been to, 20 film festivals and won a lot of awards. In almost every screening I've been to has been a standing ovation.
Wow.
Even when it wasn't, because film festivals, you got people that love film. Even when my film was right up the block here in 42nd Street Theater, and it was opening weekend, nobody knew I was there, and I was hiding in the back because I like to experience it, and they were standing and clapping, and the friend called me from L.A. in Burbank and put the phone and said, "Look at this. When have you been in a movie where people are clapping?" And again, this has nothing to do with like, I want my flowers.
No, I get you.
It has nothing to do with it.
I get you.
I'm not about awards, but I am about justice. I have a real intolerance for the haves, the have-nots. I just don't understand, especially when it comes to art.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It's a business. I do understand that. But this is a beautiful film.
Yeah, no, man. Everybody watching this now, well, I think we're going to end on that it's a beautiful film. I think it's more than a beautiful film. Because I think it's more of a powerful, beautiful film. Please go check it out. Go, I don't know where you're going to, it's got 94 on Rotten Tomatoes, whatever that means. But in this generation, it means a lot, because one of my kids are like, "Dad, it only has 55."
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, yes. I said, "Joshua, it's got 94.
Yeah. He must have been like, "Oh, okay."
So please go check it out. This has been incredible. I'm just Jennifer's made me think a lot about stuff, which is always a good guest. And I'm so happy that you came.
I appreciate it, really. I've been watching you for years. Seriously, I used to be huge, watching General Hospital all the time.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. Really, thank you for having me.
No, thank you. All right. State of mind. See you later.